So Tapp Jaker had Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on his show, and he grilled him on the issue of North Korea. So Trump has an upcoming meeting with Kim Jong-un, and now corporate media in the U.S. is going to go into their faux adversarial posture, which is what I call it. It's faux adversarialism, where they're acting like we're going to be tough on this administration, but all the questions are framed from a right-wing pro-establishment perspective. So let's watch, and then I'll explain to you why this is so important.
Tales of what's being proposed, what the offers and counteroffers may be, but a real step, a demonstrable, verifiable step is something that I know President Trump is very focused on achieving.
So tensions in the peninsula have alleviated, but your successor as CIA Director, Gina Haspel, told Congress last month that North Korea is, quote, committed to developing a long-range nuclear-armed missile that would pose a direct threat to the United States. Now, President Trump, after the last summit, said, he tweeted, quote, there is no longer a nuclear threat from North Korea. Does he still believe there's no longer a nuclear threat from North Korea, even though Gina Haspel, the CIA director, says North Korea is committed to creating this missile to hit the United States?
Look, having been the CIA director not too terribly long ago, I'm very familiar with the fact pattern. We do know the history. We know the history of the North Koreans making promises, making commitments, lying, taking American money when President Clinton said we've got this resolved back in 1994. This administration's not going to do that. We have charted a different path. Frankly, we've been criticized for taking that path, where we work, we negotiate, and then the two people who can actually effectuate the denuclearization of North Korea and a brighter future for the North Korean people will gather for a second time. We have economic sanctions in place. We know the standards for relieving those sanctions, and I'm very hopeful that we'll make a substantial step towards achieving the full denuclearization in a verifiable way in North Korea. The South Koreans, the Japanese have been great partners in this, and we're very hopeful we can get a good outcome.
Do you think North Korea remains a nuclear threat?
Yes.
But the president said he doesn't.
It's not what he said. I mean, I know precisely.
He tweeted that there is no longer a nuclear threat from North Korea.
Right. What he said is that the efforts that had been made in Singapore, this commitment that Chairman Kim made, have substantially taken down the risk to the American people. It's the mission of the Secretary of State and the President of the United States to keep American people secure. We're aiming to achieve that.
Okay. I mean, that's just a direct quote, but I want to move on.
Notice how he's being aggressive against Pompeo there. My issue is not that he's being aggressive against him. In fact, you should be aggressive against people in power, and you should question them rigorously. Absolutely. But the question he posed to him was literally based off of the CIA's perspective. Now, this is Jake Tapper's... I messed up his name. Tapp Jaker's problem is that he's a little establishment bootlicker and sycophant. And he thinks our intelligence agencies, yes, are just objective truth tellers. So he literally quotes Gina Haspel and says, she says North Korea's a nuclear threat to the United States of America. Gina Haspel is literally a war criminal and a torturer. The CIA shouldn't even exist, honestly, with what they've done in their history. Their whole goal was and is to meddle in foreign elections, overthrow governments, and to stir shit around the world. So when you cite the CIA as if it's an objective source, I mean, you actually are framing it now so that Donald Trump is the pro-peace actor and you are not. You're framing it from a right-wing perspective. So, listen, I'm about to say something that you're simply not allowed to mention in establishment media, ever. North Korea is not a nuclear threat against the United States. Oh, no, I didn't. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. In fact, there are people who have had some more honest moments who are intelligence agents and really was a general more. I think it was an old Intercept article where I read this, but they admitted, like, okay, listen, who are we kidding? Of course. You want to know why they want nuclear weapons? Deterrence. You want to know who they're afraid of? The United States. So the whole point, like them or dislike them, and obviously I dislike the North Korean government. They're vicious, they're brutal, they're authoritarian, they crack down on their own people. It's grotesque. But in international affairs, they are absolutely going tit for tat and being incredibly rational, and they only want it for deterrence because they're afraid the United States is going to try to topple them. The chances of them launching an offensive nuclear attack against the United States, zero. 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 They just want to have it so they get to say to us, you can't come topple us because we already got the nuke. So now you have to respect us as a regional power. You have to get off our ass and stop trying to meddle with us and stop trying to topple us. That's their whole point. Now, what is the left-wing position on North Korea? The left-wing position is, let's bring about peace. So I told you guys from day one, all you need from Kim Jong-un is some gesture that he cares about peace. So what's a gesture that he cares about peace? Okay, do you guys want to come in and take one of our missile plants and bring all the materials out and make a big photo op of it? Done. Let's do it. That's a gesture of peace. Anything that shows to the West like, oh, I'm letting you save face as Western leaders so that people think that, oh, you totally tamed me, bro. The United States government we are the country that has invaded and toppled the Iraqi government, leading to minimum 200,000 civilian deaths, destroyed that region of the world, led to a stronger Al-Qaeda, led to a stronger ISIS eventually. We're trying to do the same thing in Syria. We did the same thing in Libya. We're currently bombing 8 different countries. We're in the process of trying to topple the Venezuelan government. So we're the ones who have the record of offensively invading countries because they're not towing the line enough, they're not open enough to U.S. business interests, and they're not submitting to the world's sole superpower. We're the ones who've been the aggressors around the world. So when you have some of the few nations who are like, no, we're not going to play along, they know that they're next on the fucking chopping block. So if they want weapons, it's 100% for defensive reasons. So in my mind, do I care what Kim Jong-un is doing? No. What I care about is peace. How do I get peace? I don't know. Let's do a symbolic thing where you give us your weapons and then you say, oh, you see, now we're all partners in peace, and then you can open up business interests with each other if you're so inclined, and you can find you don't need to be buddy-buddy with a horrific regime like North Korea. You could be neutral towards them, and I think that'd be wonderful. My only standard on the issue of North Korea for a U.S. president is don't go to war. That's my only standard. That's all I care about. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's my only standard. So now you have Trump. This is a rare issue where he's doing something okay, which is letting the South Korean President Moon take the lead and bring about peace, and he's pretending he's taking the credit for it, but still, fine, take the credit for it. Just don't let us go to war and move towards peace, and I'm happy. So now Trump's actually doing that on the issue of North Korea, which I'm totally happy about, and the media is doing everything they can to undermine it. Tapp Jaker's doing everything he can to undermine it. Oh yeah? Well, CIA says he's still a threat. The CIA says that this is still a problem. The CIA says, do you not think that they're a nuclear threat anymore? Are you not taking the North Korean threat seriously? Jake, they're not a threat. They're only a threat insofar if we try to attack them first. So why don't you keep it real and tell it like it is? You don't do it. You want to know why? Because you're a little fucking establishment bootlicker sycophant. You don't tell the truth about foreign policy. We are defensive by definition because we're Americans. American exceptionalism is awesome. That's who Jake Tapper is. Tapp Jaker is. He's not as serious as he thinks he is. He's not a critical thinker. He's not objective. He toes the line of the CIA, the FBI, the intelligence agencies, and he gives you their perspective and acts as if it's true. So when Donald Trump happens to randomly stumble across something that's actually accurate, when he farts out a tweet in the morning and it's like, no longer a nuclear threat from North Korea, that's kind of true. And actually the real point was they're not ever really a nuclear threat. We're the threat to them. So if Trump happens to say something true every now and then, wonderful, I'll take it. Funny how the one time corporate media decides to really go after him aggressively is when they're saying he's being too soft. And that's the problem with corporate media. Look at what they're doing with Venezuela now. The media's cheerleading Trump because he's being insanely hawkish and we're about to do regime change. There's no rigidly and strictly and viciously questioning the leaders as to, are you trying to do regime change in Venezuela? Why are you doing this? No, they're going right along with it because they love to frame it from the hawkish perspective because that's what they are. So we have a broken media, and that's why we exist. But goddamn, is it hard to watch where the one time you get this lunatic president who's not doing the wrong thing, they're like, you should do the wrong thing. Do you not think they're a threat? They are a threat. Say they're a threat. It's just insufferable.